see we both have our coffee. It's ready.
Yes.
Or your tea. Are you drinking tea?
Yeah, rooibos.
I thought so.
Yeah, you're a coffee girl, so I know what's in that cup. Okay, so let's start, I guess, at the sort of beginning. You know, you are a photographer. Just jumping right into this. You're a photographer, a wonderful photographer at that. I met you, I don't even know how many years ago it was.
Long ago. Yeah.
Back in 2015, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And I asked for recommendations. So technically, I got to know you through the gram, or I met you through the gram. I asked for recommendations for photographers in Cape Town from people on Instagram with a post, and you were recommended to me by Titi.
Oh, it's so nice to hear where these recommendations come from.
So Titi dropped a comment on the post and, you know, referred you. And I think there were a couple of other people that were, and then I just kind of went through the pages and, hit you up, got your rates, and boom, I think our first shoot was Green Market Square.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, it was all such a blur. But yeah, it's so since then, it's many years later, your audience has grown like considerably. Your catalog of clients as well is very impressive. And just you keep creating and keep reaching new heights, I believe, in your career with how you challenge yourself and how you do things. But you also are very mindful as to how you share and what you share on social media, just from the get-go, because you also had a blog when I met you. So what caused you to do that? I think it was very different from what other photographers were doing, especially at the time. Maybe things have changed now, but what made you do that back then? I guess that's where I'd like to start. Just starting a blog as a photographer that does more than just share your portfolio and your approach to Instagram as well.
So I must give credit to Aisha Baker, who I obviously started out shooting bloggers with. She was the one who pushed me to start a blog, and it did seem strange back then, but she said that when we shot together, people would be so interested in the behind the scenes of how you get to the final photo. And so I started this blog to actually share behind the scenes in the beginning. And then as Instagram evolved, you could share more and more behind the scenes with your posts and your stories and the carousel posts and things like that. I ended up moving more into sharing final images and some tips and tricks on my blog, which was then aimed at photographers. And Instagram was then more aimed at my followers to see the final shots. Yeah.
Okay. And then naturally, I guess that's evolved over time. I know I think I saw you had probably when you first started with flat lays, but it had to do with lighting, and that was some of the early stuff I learned with lighting that you shared on your blog back then. But you also now still share behind the scenes, and I enjoy like watching your stories because you share your shoots that you're on and just your day-to-day. What is okay, so I guess you've always done that, but what makes you, what is your aim? Do you have do you think, okay, so I'm going to share this because of this? Do you say, okay, people seem to really like this, let me keep doing that and stop doing that? Do you have a sort of process when you
so I try and reach balance in everything I do, which is so difficult, but I like to try and balance my Instagram and content that I put out there with a balance of business and a balance of personal. So I found that a lot of people like to know a little bit of personal information about the brand so that you can relate to the person more. And when I share those behind the scenes and Instagram stories and Instagram content, I have two things in mind. One is potential clients, and the other are the photographers that follow me. So what I do when I share behind the scenes is one way show the photographers what I'm doing on set or how I do my setup. Sometimes, a lot lately, I've actually been trying to prove to people that you don't have to have this big glamorous fancy setup to create a certain look and feel of an image, which is when I share behind the scenes of my flat lays literally photographed in my home, or my studio setup that I literally just move everything out of my lounge and we can't get to my kitchen for 2 hours, but the clients' photos look like we've hired this amazing fancy studio. And I like to use that to inspire people to not just say they can't do something because they don't have the resources, but to think out the box and kind of make a plan to create that final effect. And then the other side of it is to show clients my process and what it's like shooting with me, who I shoot with, my process and how quickly my turnaround time is and how quickly my shoots go, because a lot of the time people shoot with me because I'm quite fast on set. Yeah.
Yes, you are. You're very fast.
So, yeah.
To make a person feel comfortable in front of the camera, which is something I've heard quite a few people say about you. How to coach a person to get the right shot, which is tricky to remember all the things you practiced in front of the mirror when Tegan is there with a big camera in front of you. And it's also the one thing that really impressed me the first time we worked together was literally contact sheets within 24 hours and the final images like within the week, which unfortunately wasn't my experience with previous photographers, so I think that's amazing, because if as a blogger you're so excited to see what magic you created and how it ended up coming up, and as a business person or whatever, you're eager to get started on whatever it is you have planned and plan it out and all of that stuff. So I think that's
social media is so fast paced, you can't take more than 3 days to send Instagram photos to someone anymore. Do
you think that's the problem? Have photographers caught up to the pace of Instagram, do you think?
I think so. I think there are obviously, all photographers are different. So, and they're specializing in different things. So photographers who are more into creating Instagram content and content for brands that are focused on online things know that the turnaround time is a lot faster. Whereas photographers who are shooting campaigns for print or things like that, they know that they have a bit of time and they've got to send the images off to retouches and things like that. So different shoots have different processes, I'd say.
Okay.
But I think we're catching up, trying to keep up with the pace.
Well, just one thing, when you mentioned that different photographers obviously have different specialties, did you know from the onset that you were going to specialize in, I think you're a fashion photographer, but is it a fair assumption for me to say that a lot of your content is, I guess it would be like street style or lifestyle photography that is geared to the influencer or fashion people, being a lot of your clients? Was that?
So when I first started out, I obviously wanted to just be a fashion photographer, and then Instagram came about and bloggers came about, and shooting with Aisha for so many years, she kind of shooting for her blog kind of got bigger than just shooting for a blog, if you know what I mean. It was way more than that. It became a business, and lots of other bloggers also wanted my kind of photography for their blogs, and then everything got moved to Instagram. And so that's kind of how I guess I've been like molded into shooting for online platforms from that start. And yeah, it's just become a whole lifestyle kind of thing where I've realized, and I've spoken to certain people who have a brand, that because I've shot for bloggers for so many years, I can shoot for a brand or a product and almost personify that product because of my blogging style. So when they upload it to Instagram or something like that, it's not a product shot. It's actually a lifestyle shot that tells a story and it has a personality. So yeah.
I think that's so interesting, because it's something that I'm finding true, I guess, in all of the people that I've spoken to. I mean, it sounds like it's a whole lot, but it's the 3 stories so far. But it's almost, if the journey that we've gone through has kind of added to your experiences, and now you're this person that you're not just a photographer, just a plain, you have a dimension to you that can't have been developed any other way, that a person can't just go to school and learn. And it's your niche, it's unique to you, and very few people can do that. And I think it's something we often take for granted, because we go through this life and we go through our journeys, and it's almost like, I'm not where I want to be, or this isn't quite working out the way I would have liked or planned. But it seems to land everybody up at a much better off place than what they might have anticipated, which is pretty awesome. So speaking of journeys that evolve over time, you also started hosting workshops, just working more with photographers or people who want to improve their photography, because it's not only photographers that want to do that. And I know now there are online workshops, but before you started this way back with, what caused you to partner with, I think you worked with Orms and is it Apple?
I saw.
Yeah, so what got you into that?
So I've always wanted to do workshops, and I often got people asking me to do workshops or to do kind of like photo meetups, so they could learn from me and things like that. But I don't know, I just never had the confidence to put myself out there. And the one day I got an email from iStore asking me if I wanted to host some workshops for them, for people with iPhones. And first of all, I thought it was spam. I was like, why would iStore be messaging me? This cannot be true. But it was true. And I have a rule for myself where I shouldn't ever say no because I'm scared of something. And me being in front of a whole crowd scares me so much. But I just said yes. I said, do it. Just because you're afraid shouldn't be why you shouldn't do it. And I did 3 workshops for iStore, and the feedback was amazing. And I actually found that I really enjoyed it. And I realized that if I host my own workshop, I can actually decide how many people I want to be there. I don't have to be scared of being in front of 100 people. I can choose to have 10 people there. And so after iStore, I decided I would host my own workshop for the photographers, because I had quite a few photographers say that they have iPhones, but they really want to know how to use their camera. So I ended up planning 2 workshops just before COVID hit. I planned 2 workshops on a weekend, and I planned to have the Saturday workshop was for photographers with their professional cameras, and the Sunday was for people who wanted to learn with their cell phones. So I mean, it was everyone from a mom and daughter, because the daughter wanted the mom to take better photos. It was owners of PR companies who wanted to be able to take good photos of products and things like that. So it was a whole range of people, and it was so much fun. And I definitely do want to host more when I can. Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Sure, that sounds really great. It's Yeah, this whole COVID situation really threw a lot of things off. But
Yeah.
from there, your workshops went online, or to some degree, because you have your flat lays workshop.
Yeah.
And how has that been? Which would you say you prefer, the online one or the in-person one?
I really enjoy the in-person one, even though it's a lot of organizing. I love meeting people, and it's always such fun to be in a group and you learn from each other. So I found I would share my experience and my tips and things like that for taking photos. But when we're out and about, I always, a lot of people enjoyed this about my workshop, was that you did half an hour where I spoke and showed a presentation, and then the other half an hour to an hour we actually went out and took photos of a model or took photos of the flat lays. And people said there's a lot of workshops where they don't do that, they don't practice. And I really enjoyed that, because I always say to people, if you think of something, shout it out, tell us. We all here to learn and have fun together. It's not just about people listening to me. Yeah, so I definitely enjoy the actual location ones with people in person.
That's cool. That's awesome, because
Yeah.
then in person, I guess they're more interactive.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I
pretty
mean,
dope.
the online ones were really nice as well. I mean, I still offer them, because that obviously doesn't restrict you with who you can host it to. I did, through lockdown and that, I did the virtual ones, which I was teaching people in Joburg and Kimberley and things like that, which those people would have never been able to attend the workshop. So yeah,
It gives
they
you
both
more
have.
reach.
Yes, yeah.
And going forward, do you think you'd continue both?
I think so. I still offer online ones that the odd person has booked me for. But definitely I'm kind of holding out until I can actually have an in-person workshop, because I really enjoyed those. So yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I want to ask about is that swimsuit hanging back there. That's the new evolution of, all that you're doing. This new passion project of yours, or actually not a passion project, but a business. You're starting a brand and you're launching it soon.
Yeah.
What, where, how? Please share what brought that about, because I was pretty surprised.
You were surprised?
Not that you're launching a business, but I would imagine it would have been something relating to cameras,
Yeah.
or something photography related, and not swimsuits, or even maybe something hiking related, because I see a lot of hikes and I jot down a lot of hiking trails through your stories. So the swimsuit one, just So I'm curious.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think, a lot of people are surprised that it's swimwear. I know when I was sharing sneak peek photos of like the little swimsuit sticking into a flat lay with flowers in that, and I'd say to people, please guess what I'm up to. Everyone thought it was photography related. But yeah, I do have some photography related ideas for the future. But, during lockdown and even a few months before that, I've been trying to think of something that I could do as a side business that I was passionate about and that also solved a problem. And I thought long and hard. And as summer started approaching again this year, I just realized swimwear. I have to do swimwear, because I've struggled so many years to find the perfect swimsuit. I have one swimsuit that I've had for 2 years, and I just can't let go of it, because it's the one that I found that fits nicely. And I just thought, like, I need to think of a design that will fit everyone. And I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I've launched this design behind me. And I honestly, like when I explain it to friends and followers, I call it, I don't know if you know the movie, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yes.
Where they all fit into that pair of
Yes.
jeans. That is the swimsuit. I'm not lying. I mean,
You
big
just took
busts,
me way
small
back.
busts, big bums, small bums. Everyone fits into it. All of us girls have tried it in my group. And it's crazy how it fits everyone.
Wow.
So I'm super excited to launch it. It'll be online first on Instagram, and I've got a website that I'll launch when sales open up. But I'm just so excited to see everyone wearing it, and yeah, super exciting.
I'm super excited to get myself one as well because, obviously I did the shoot with you a while back, and it really did fit really well. One thing that, you speak of this problem of finding the perfect swimsuit. I have quite a few, but I do have like one full piece and a bikini that really fit the best or are comfortable, so to speak. But the one problem I have, and I told you, is where the legs opening, like really cuts into you. And I didn't have that at all, where I have to keep adjusting it there. And I don't know if that's something a lot of people experience as well, but I really loved that yours did that, and it still held everything perfectly in place, and wasn't like loose or anything like that. So I'm really excited, and I love that it's made out of you said recycled plastic bottles, which is also an add-on. Also, while you're talking, after you mentioned the whole the traveling pants situation, there's that challenge that people like a group of people do a video on Instagram, and then it goes from one person to the next, and then they're different ones. Like there's a makeup one, or there's a makeup brush they pass around.
I did one with my wine.
Yes, that was really cute. But we should do one with the swimwear.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Swimsuit is traveling, and everyone is just I haven't done that.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we'll work on that.
I love that. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. That's it from me. I really appreciate just through your journey, how that's evolved over time. I've really loved watching it over the years, and just your approach in just keeping your customer in mind, so to speak, or keeping who your audience is in mind, and making sure that the content you create speaks to them and serves them. Because being a person who has been on, I guess it kind of falls on both sides of the spectrum of your audience, where being I was a blogger, and I love seeing all the people that you photograph, and I would bookmark some of the shoots and be like, oh, that's a nice pose, or that's a nice shot, or that's a nice location. Next time I'll tell her, we must do that. And then I completely forget, but that's besides the point. And being on the other side, where now it's like, okay, this is a nice lighting tip, and learning a lot from you and trying things out. You definitely do cater to both of those, and it's been really, it's great. It is awesome, and I must commend you for what you've done over the years consistently.
Thank you
as well.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I was super honored to be interviewed. Yeah. And it's been amazing watching your business grow, and like I've learned so much from you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad we're feeding each other, so that's a good thing. That's a good. Yeah. Okay. Well,
awesome.
That's it.